Hello, welcome to a Minecraft Let's Play, I think. Um, yeah, I just kind of figured I'd flick this on and start recording. It's not the traditional start I think you would want in a YouTube series. I just kind of decided to start recording midway through a world in progress. To be fair, despite how overpowered some of the things I have are, I'd say we're still pretty early days in terms of the actual progress I want to make in this world. I've been trying to ease my way back into Minecraft, learn a lot of the mechanics that I never picked up or that have been added since I was super into the game, and I think it's been going well. Let me show you a few of the things around here. So the first one here is the iron farm. I actually learned how these things worked. It's awesome. And then I hurt my brain and I tried to make like villager farms next to it. And it didn't break everything too bad, at least. I think it's way less efficient than it should be, but considering it's me trying to modify something I have no idea what I'm doing with, it seems to work. Which is the important part. So yeah, down here, we've been getting plenty and plenty of iron. And yeah, not too many carrots, but a decent amount, you know? It's clearly working. This whole area needs to be cleaned up, though. This is probably one of the earlier projects I'm going to be working on. Not immediately, though, but I want to clean this area up and get myself a proper storage room that isn't, you know, a mess, because, yeah, there's junk in my chest down here. The crafting table's like 10 kilometers in the air. So that's something I need to work on. Really, this whole area looks nice, and I want to continue that nice look down into the actual collection area, but we're taking it piece by piece, taking it nice and slowly, building up the world bit by bit, not biting off more than I can chew, you know? This is a sort of tower that I set up as a starter base. See what it looks like. It's supposed to be kind of like the starting point of my castle. So that's what this is, and it's got a few floors. Up here, there's a enchanting station, and up here, it's just a roof. I'm considering making a smaller, skinnier tower in the middle of this. It'll go up even higher, so that it doesn't look so short and stubby in the long run. But that's something to consider. Another thing to consider is how this really feels like it should come out here, but it doesn't. Instead, how you're supposed to get up to the higher level right now is you come over here and you walk up these stairs. And you see there's the tower. Honestly, it really feels like you should be able to come up through here, but you aren't able to. Had a crazy thing happen. I didn't even notice it till a while later. My picks just got struck by lightning and well, a lot of zombie piglins just chilling in my pig pen. Tragically, this means I no longer have pigs. Here are some basic crop farms that I had set up. I still need the wheat one, but the other two are just kind of extra. If I want to manually harvest some crops, they'll work in a pinch. Now, there's a tiny bit more that I want to show off here. So now this is something I'm going to have to figure out what I want to do with. I'm at the minute leaning towards moving away my iron farm from my house out into the fields. But in the meantime, there are some villagers here, including my mending villager. You'll show them what you can offer. Mending. And here we have a couple farmers that I've been using to get other things. Apparently there's some experience I never picked up, but and then a armor smith, I want to say, weaponsmith, my bad, that I've been using to trade in iron. So I've been learning how this game works and villager trading and all that, and I think this is far enough away that it doesn't mess with my iron farm. It might be overkill in terms of distance, but I honestly don't know what the correct distance is, so yeah. That's why my current thought process has been, once I finish with my base, and am able to expand out a little bit, I'll set up a second village out in the fields, and probably move the villagers over there. The iron farm, I mean. And have my main village kind of just around the whole castle and be kind of okay with them wandering a little bit. Maybe not too much. Maybe some of them will just get stuck in spots for trading, but others will be wandering. Because I'm kind of scared to put down beds in my house in case it messes up the iron farm. So just kind of like put down a bed and then break it. Which is terrifying because it means my spawn point's like miles away. I've had to deal with the consequences of my actions before, so it's been an experience, that's for sure. I think that was just so I could get up here. But as for what I want to do in this first little episode, it's gonna be pretty straightforward. I've been meaning to get around to putting some name plaques on some of the... Oh gosh, no, they have a special name, don't they? I don't know what it is right now. If you guys know what those plaques they put on the sides of buildings to like indicate when they were created, if you guys know what those are called, let me know in the comments. But I want to put those on some of my buildings. So that I know exactly when they were created. And then when I do that, I'll be quite happy with myself, so that I can start keeping track of when everything was made in this world. And if I finish that, which that shouldn't take more than a few minutes, then I'm going to head up and probably start working here. So this is supposed to be a pier, right? As you can see, there's a bit of a fish market down here. There's gonna be a boat over here eventually. I haven't decided on a good design for it yet. And over here, there's going to be a little bit of like a maintenance area. We're gonna have to think about how I want it to look, but we're gonna have like all sorts of equipment and stuff that people would be using to prep the boats and maintain them and repair them and unload them even. So yeah, there's a lot to consider there. And I'm gonna have to think about it a little bit more before I start building it, but that's kind of the plan for today. And you'll see back there, there's some really ugly looking cobblestone pillars and stuff. I'm just kind of sketching out where I want to put the piers, because I want to put like big tall piers for a giant boat that's gonna be docked at my shore. Like a great big boat that's gonna have like a ton of space. Honestly, with how big this area is, that might end up being like a ginormous boat. I'm a little scared about it. But regardless of the boat itself, I just want to finish the area around it first, and maybe the small boat. That way I can feel comfortable about having a little bit of my castle built up, and I can move on to my next objective, which I'll save for future reference in case I change my mind. In fact, I'm probably going to change my mind a lot in the series, so if there's anything that ends up not being fulfilled, I'm sorry, but that just happens, right? You come up with an idea, you work on it, and then you get carried away doing something else altogether. But if you'll give me a few minutes, I'm going to try and find out when I built everything in my world, and I'm going to start putting down signs to mark those places out. All right, so our first location, built on November 10th, 2025, is Little Ember Tower. That's the day I took a screenshot of this place, so I'm trusting it's pretty accurate. Let's move on to our next location. Here we are at the zombie spawner. I think I know exactly when this was made, so I'm gonna mark that down now. And I'm gonna come up with a cute little name for this place. I'm honestly kind of proud of Little Ember Tower. I think it works well for a starter area. But now what should I call this place? I've settled on calling it the Cozy Cavern Grinder. Because I don't know about you guys, but I really like tight spaces. The idea of just kind of being warmly wrapped in like a small area, just kind of nestled in between the rock formations. I don't know. As long as there's no danger to me, I just really like smaller spaces and like somewhat cramped feelings. Actually, when I AFK here, I usually crouch in here, kind of cozy against the rocks, you know? I don't know. That's where I stand on this little place. But let's give it a good use while we're here. There we go. And let's head out of here. You'll notice the caverns down here are a little bit chaotic. I was mining for some stone and my patterns weren't exactly the most orthodox. But they lead out here, and this is the way back up to the castle, and there's a tiny way down there that goes down to a diamond level. I need to renovate this whole area though at some point. It's a bit of a long-term project, but it's one that's gonna have to happen. Alright, so alongside my little cats here, I've decided to call this the Castle Factory because, as you can see here with the villager farms and the iron farm, it's a bit of a farming area, but it's not quite your typical farm. They don't really see sunlight down there, and it's kind of industrial in nature. Oh, that's an error. I need to fix that. Whoopsies. Looks like it's still working quite well. There we go. Okay. As you can see, it's a bit industrial looking. It's a bit, still medieval, but like definitely more of a factory than a farm. So that's why I've settled on the Castle Factory. As you can see, it needs some work. We're still a long ways off from having the beautiful, gorgeous interior that I've always wanted for my castle. But that's just what happens when you dig into a hillside. How do you get down here? Where did you... I guess you could have come from the staircase. Yeah. I guess he could have come from up here. There's not really anything stopping a monster from coming down here either. That's something I might want to work on at some point. I'm not sure how to yet, but we'll get there. Oh, speaking of monsters. Alright. Now I'm gonna put on my thinking cap a little and maybe plan out that area. So I need to figure out what to do with this. This chunk of land here is quite ugly and is becoming quite a quite an animal pen. Yeah, I'm gonna stick my thinking cap on, and I'm going to plan out what to do with that area over there. I'll see you all in a few moments. Alright, I've thought a little bit about what I want to do, and I have some ideas. And my ideas are cranes. That's right, cranes. I have never built a crane in Minecraft before. I'll be honest, I'm a little intimidated, but I gotta just go for it, right? I gotta just try and see what happens. Uh, maybe I should put some hay bales down on the ground so I can fall off without dying. That might be a good idea, actually. Do I want hay bales or maybe slime blocks would be better? It's probably slime blocks would be better. So I don't. I think slime blocks soften your fall, don't they? If they don't, I'm about to find out the hard way. Alright. I'm gonna put that down right here. I should be able to land on that no problem. Worst case scenario, I can probably just jump for the water, but wait. Crafting table. Gonna want some stairs as well. I'm realizing I don't just want oak, I want spruce as well, because that's going to be very bright. You know what? I'm going to grab my spruce wood, then I'm going to come back out here. Alright, there we go. And if I sleep here, perfect. Wait, oopsies. I keep forgetting what I'm doing. This is my Minecraft process, by the way. I think I might have mentioned it, might not have yet. I am like 50% between planning and freehanding. Like I never planned my builds meticulously, but I like draw maps of how I want my world to work. And then I just kind of freehand the builds themselves until I get something I'm either happy with or regret for the rest of my life, and we just make do with that. How tall do I want it? See, these are the things I should probably have decided before pillaring up a massive amount. But maybe a tiny bit taller. Okay, that should be good enough. And then I want to do it like this at the back, I think. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do a counterweight. That's a thing that cranes need, isn't it? It's going to be a slightly fantasy crane. It's not going to be super realistic or anything. Actually, I have ideas here. So if I do this, I have no idea how I'm gonna get underneath the crane, to be honest. I'm probably just gonna have to pillar down. Drop down and then pillar up, I think. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. And then I want to do this. Oh, I really hope this looks good from below. I'm always very hit or miss with my building. It can look great or it can look kind of awful. And I usually can tell where I go wrong, but it's always a lot of effort to fix what I do. Okay, here we are. that's the right size. And now the back side. I think I'm gonna want to do it like this. I guess this one started here, so let's start this one here. Chop off this. Oh crap. I'll get the rest later. For now. Let's do that. Okay, perfect. I don't want this to go too far back because a realistic counterweight doesn't have to be like, this doesn't have to be a realistic counterweight. This just should be a counterweight probably. See, I'm realizing it's going to be a little offset because of how this works. I think that's fine. I think it won't matter in the end, but it is going to be a little bit wonky. Okay, I think that's good enough. Okay, perfect. Now how do I do the top? This is not a thing I had considered. But what if I use oak stairs and kind of go like... This kind of works in a weird way, I think. It's also not going to be a side I see very often until I get elytra. So any mistakes I make, I can always pretend don't exist. See, I don't like that, but I have a plan. And it's kind of a weird plan. It doesn't entirely make sense in my head either, so don't worry if you're not following along at home. But I'm gonna try to put half slabs along this side. It's almost like the entire thing is a little askew, and that'll hopefully make it feel less weird that it is entirely like askew. Like it's been weighted towards one side for no discernible reason kind of deal. Does anything I'm saying make any amount of sense? And then what if we weight this side the other way? Oops. Okay, and then we just want to put a few more up. Perfect. That's, I think, what we want to see. And then, where's my little jumping block? Okay. Okay. It's a little wonky. I think I was expecting that. But I don't hate it. Like, it's wonky. But if we attach the stuff that a crane needs to be a crane, it might just about work. I hope you're appreciating that I'm doing this raw, because I am so so uncomfortable with this build. You know what? It's just that the axis doesn't line up. That's the only thing bugging me. If this axis was like a 2x2 column, I think it would look right. But it's not. But. But. Hmm. Okay, I have a few thoughts. I'm gonna let them swirl around in my head as I continue work. I'm gonna commit to this. This dinky little crane is good enough for me. Maybe chains. Those are a thing nowadays. Maybe I could add some chains somehow. So I think the logic of what's going on internally on this thing is that this the wood fence there is acting as a rope, and it's going through the inside of the logs. Not a rope, but like a pulley, and that's how that's working internally, at least. Ouch. Okay, well, at least we can reach from here. I thought we could. Never mind. And honestly, not as bad as I thought it would be. It does need some more unevenness in its shape. It looks too perfect right now. I want to make it look a little bit more messed up. And I think a great way to do that would be to add mossy cobblestone. Perhaps I should. What do I do that for? Nothing. There. And then we'll just do one more of those. But yeah, if you're curious, I'm playing this world on my Switch 2, and I'm playing on the Bedrock version just because I kind of like playing from a comfortable position. That's, yeah, this is a pretty new world, like I said. Yeah, you can see it's, technically the days played is quite high, but that's just because I've done a lot of AFKing, and I tend to play Minecraft pretty slowly and pretty long term. What if I just do both of these as mossy? How does that look? I think that looks great. I think it looks like a fantastic counterweight. And then all we've got to do is set this up. How's that? You know what? I want it a little lower. I want this to just be one block above the height of the pier. That way I can do a little bit of magic like this. You know, I'm thinking I can use some barrels on this. Yeah, barrels and chests. and that way it looks like it's being like full-on materials are being loaded onto a boat or loaded up so that they can be loaded onto a boat. Let's do that. Then let's go ahead and pile some barrels up like this. And then just, okay, let's try not to fall off into the water. And let you see all the ugly sand that I haven't cleared into the spruce wood yet. That's a tragedy. I'll get to work on that eventually. But first, yeah. And then we can just do this. Not like that. Oh no, it's gone horribly wrong. If I do it like this... I was facing the wrong way for that, my bad. Will this work? Yeah, okay. Let's just have this face forward. Perfect. I think I'm quite happy with that. You know what? We can do one more. Do this. So you can see everything nice and tightly packed together. I think that's pretty much perfect. Yeah. Maybe even better if we take this off. Yeah, okay, I'm comfortable with that. And I know I said I was going to work on this whole area, this whole top maintenance. Okay. Okay, wise guy. Alright. I know I said I was going to work on this whole top area, but that's taking quite a while. So I think I'm actually going to just leave off with this crane, because I'm quite proud of how that turned out. And I'm going to keep working away at this. Some of it probably off camera, some of it probably on camera, just however I feel best and however feels most natural. Maybe I'll tune in every so often in here when I'm feeling like, you know, I've got a lot to show off. When I'm doing more boring stuff like filling in details and, you know, slowly working away at stuff, maybe I'll do some of that off camera. You know, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to handle the series moving forward, but I think I'm liking the idea of feeling it out, you know? When something feels like it should be recorded, I'll record it. When something feels like it should be off camera, I'll do it off camera. And I'll just take you along on this little journey around my world. And hopefully it'll be a nice, pretty place that I'm going to be proud of one day. That's all the time I've got for today, and I'll see you whenever I next decide to hit record. See ya.